Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
What the fuck are we gonna do now? Get high?
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You are watching Still Toking with. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have a great show scheduled for you as always. And with us, Benjamin. How's it going?
Hey, it's going amazing. Amazing. 5th season. We're killing it. Amazing guests. I'm really excited about tonight's guest, though. Really excited. One of my all-time favorite films that I can remember. All I'm going to say is, can you dig it?
That's just because you were a punk kid who liked to beat people up.
No, okay. And what's your point? Like, seriously, what's your point?
I mean, when this movie
I learned it from you.
When this movie came out, what were you like? Fucking 9?
I don't know.
7?
It doesn't matter. I'm old as shit now, but still one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the Warriors in a long time.
Oh, you gave it away.
Yes, I did. I did it on purpose.
You suck at this game.
Now shut the fuck up, or I'm gonna fuck your name up.
Oh well, wait a minute. Before we introduce him, though, I have to say one thing. I do have to say this real quick. So we actually added 2 more platforms this evening with this guest. 70s and 80s Memory Lane. A huge shout out to Amy Makepeace for that. If you're watching on that channel and you want to comment, you have to jump over to one of the majors, which would be Toking with the Dead on Facebook, YouTube, The Dorkening, Hellfire Entertainment Media. Then we will see your comments. Otherwise, unfortunately, we won't see them right now. Okay.
You become dust in the wind.
Dust in the wind. Ah.
Yeah, there's something else from the 70s. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
All right,
yes.
so let's bring him in, Mr. Purple Fury himself, Rob Ryder.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I was gonna screw your name up, but it's kind of hard. I got a Ritter, but that wouldn't have sounded right.
He likes to mess with people's names.
I do,
Yeah.
but It was too simple. I couldn't mess it up. You know, although in the show notes, Ben messed up purple.
No, no. Only in one spot. And I went and I saw it tonight. I went, oh crap.
Don't you
Yep.
spell check?
Well, yeah, usually Jeff is my spell check. He's my editor, but you know, things have
Show
been
notes.
They have
That's you.
software for that.
yeah,
Yes.
come on,
So
that's
you
your
guys
job.
Let the guests talk here, or is it just three of you jabbering around?
You just hold your horses. We'll let you
No.
speak.
You know where to find me, man. I'll be at the craft service table. I'll be eating donuts, biding my time.
There you go.
Oh.
Donuts. Wow. So it's been a long time, still over 40 years. Is it 40, 44 now?
It was
45?
released 45 years ago.
45. Yep.
Yeah, we shot it in the
1979.
summer of 1978.
Yep.
Right.
Wow.
Way back.
I mean, I still remember that movie came out. I watched it back to back so many times just because it was so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, it was an amazing movie. But
You know?
I want to start off by asking, like, I heard that you actually were the location scout
That's right.
for the film prior to obtaining the roles.
Yeah. What happened was I had been living in New York, had been writing, working on a novel like every other knucklehead writer in New York. And I was trying to get overseas to play. I got a contract actually to go play professional basketball. And I was working out in Central Park. I was down in West 4th Street. It was a little rough down there. I was working out in Central Park. One of the guys that I played with was this rich guy out of healthcare, and he was back in a movie, putting like $500,000 up for some low budget movie. And I got on as a PA, and I didn't go to Europe to play ball. I stayed to work in the movies. So that job led to another, and the production manager liked me, and he gave me a call in 1970, the spring of 78, I guess, said there's a movie coming in, and I want you to work as a PA for me again. And I said, sure thing. And so I got on as a PA. Within a couple days, he bumped me up to location scout. So I was running all over the city looking for a subway bathroom to have a fight in, looking for a street to blow up the car when the orphans got chased off by the Molotov cocktail, looking for, this is the toughest one, is looking for the conclave, where all the gangs got together and where that kicked the whole movie into gear right there. So I was running around doing this for several weeks as the movie started, and I got to know Walter Hill a little bit. And he took a liking to me because, I'm big and I'm a jock, and I don't know why. But there were moments where he would call me over, like we were down in the subways, and I was running around coming up with all these Polaroids. It was before cell phones, obviously,
Right.
and cameras. So you had to shoot Polaroids to show the director, here's what I found. What does it look like? And he'd go, that looks real fucked up. I want something else, and I'd go off again. So I went to visit him once on set in the subway, and he said, hey, come over here. And he pointed down these subway stairs, the kind with the steel treads. There were like 20 of them. And he goes, I need someone to play a cop. Ajax's going to kick him in the chest. He's going to fall backwards down these stairs. I want you to do it. What do you think? And I looked down these stairs, and I looked at him, and I said, no way. And he just looked at me, and he said, pussy. And he said, go on, go off and do your thing. So I was running around for another couple of weeks, finding locations, and a stuntman got hurt. One of the baseball Furies, Steve Chambers. He played the Purple Fury. They were still running around the streets, and I think they were just entering the park, and he was jumping down some stairs, and he banged up a knee or something. And suddenly, Walter calls me over and says, I want to put you in my movie. I want you to be Steve Chambers' replacement, be a Purple Fury. So that's how that started. The next night, I went to work.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty hairy, you know. The Furies were so strange. I mean, the other gangs were pretty peculiar in themselves, but
Right.
Baseball Furies far and above. Man, these guys looked so creepy and deranged. Suddenly, I found myself in the makeup trailer in Riverside Park, and they were doing the whole thing, draw a line down my face, half is purple, half is black, the black circle around the one eye, put a black wig on me, baseball cap, Yankees uniform. It was a shirt just like this, didn't say Furies on it, and then the Yankees shirt over it, and gave me a bat and said, okay, you're a Fury. You got a lot of running to do. And we spent probably the next 3 nights just running and running and running, just chasing the Warriors for the Warriors. And we did that over and over again. In the meantime, I was trying to hold on to my production job, doing locations. So I would work all night long running, get home to my shitty apartment on 2nd Avenue, sleep for a couple hours, get into the production office, get that day's assignment, usually out in Coney Island, Brooklyn, someplace. Go out there, spend the day looking for locations, then show up. I'd have like a 6 p.m. call time that evening, go into makeup and wardrobe, get ready to do some more running. So I did that for a couple of days, and I was going, man, I'm not going to be able to sustain this. And I'm going to have to tell the production manager that I got to quit my production job. But luckily, it happened for me in a strange way. There was a SAG rep snooping around the set, and he caught wind that I was double dipping. Big no-no when it comes to unions. And so he talked to the AD, David Sosna, and Sosna came over to me and said, hey, this guy's all pissed off that you're double dipping. You can't be both. You can either do production or you can be a Fury. What's it going to be? And I thought about it for about 2 seconds. As a production location scout, I was making $50 a day. As a baseball Fury, I was making over $300 a day, plus benefits, plus overtime. So I'm like, man, I'm staying a baseball Fury. So I ended up, luckily, getting fired from my production job, but stayed on as a Fury, and ended up fighting Michael Beck,
Right.
who played Swan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, did the production have to get permission from the Yankees to wear the stripes?
You know, that's an excellent question. I don't know that anyone's ever answered that. Probably not. But in this day and age, and even back then, who the hell knows? You know, people trademark this stuff, and if you use it for commercial purposes, in fact, now that I think about it, they probably went to the Yankees, and the Yankees are like, yeah, it's cool by us, but
as long as it doesn't have the NY on it, right?
Yeah, it didn't have the NY. It was just a striped shirt. It was obviously Yankees, but yeah.
Well, also, aren't there different rules for independent movies? Like you mentioned, like in the beginning, this was an independent movie. And actually, another question is, while you're making it, did you realize that it was going to become such an icon?
We had no idea. I mean, none. And actually, it wasn't an indie. It was a studio film. It was Paramount. And it was a low budget Paramount movie. It was like $4 million, I think. And and they were asking an awful lot to shoot in New York City, and with all those nights and all those extras and the main cast and all. It was a squeeze. But we started out doing it. I mean, I read the screenplay before we started production, and I'm like, wow, man, this is weird. It just felt different to me, and I wasn't sure how Walter Hill was going to shoot it. And I thought this could either be a really cool movie or the biggest piece of shit ever made. Because the screenplay by itself didn't hold up that well for me. But once I got wind of exactly how stylized he was making it, and I saw, wow, he's got something going here. And obviously it turned into this iconic cult classic.
Right.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, because everybody today frowns on all kinds of violence. but
Yeah,
it's still an icon classic.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, it really. I think it was written really to shine some light on the issues in the cities with gangs. I think that's why it was originally written.
Yeah, well, the novel was Saul Urich, the novelist, was a social worker, and so he knew that world pretty well. And the novel is really gritty. I don't think the novel holds up that well, frankly, but it was intended that way. And then Walter took a hold of it, and he turned it surreal. You know, it's really magical realism. I grew up. I love New York City, hard-hitting, hard-nosed, Al Pacino, Serpico, French Connection, you know, Dog Day Afternoon, that kind of movie, that kind of action movie where it's so fucking real. You're like, wow, man. And when we started shooting the Warriors, I was like, wow, Walter's doing it different. For one, you will see there's almost no extras in the entire movie except for the gang members. I mean, you don't see people walking on the street. You don't see them getting off of subway buses or off of trains. It's like really stripped down. So he emptied out the city. And then when we started shooting it, Andy Laszlo, the DP, came up with this great thing because there was a brief rain shower in one of the early scenes, and all the streets got wet. And it looked great, you know, because the whole movie is shot at night, and it was that glistening look. And he talked to Walter and said, hey, we got something going with this look. And he goes, why don't we establish that there's a brief rainstorm so then we can keep the streets wet the whole movie. And so from then on, every time we shot an exterior, they got out the fire hoses and they clued into the nearest hydrant and wet down the streets and gave it that really cool glistening look. And that's how that happened.
Wow.
It's one of those, you know, movies.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
Right.
shit that just happens kind of on the spot and you go, oh, let's run with this. And
Right.
that was one of those things that worked out really nicely.
well, yeah, because that adds a special atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, like you said, the novel didn't hold well, but I just want to spin this real quick. You actually wrote a novel about this.
Yeah, not a novel, more of a memoir.
Okay, a memoir,
Memoir.
a book.
Yeah.
You wrote something
Yeah, I wrote a book. I wrote a fucking book
about this.
Yeah.
So
It's called Purple Fury, Rumbling with the Warriors. And here, I'll show you a copy. Put it up on screen. If anyone's out there watching, mom, dad. Oh, mom's dead.
wow.
All right, so that's the cover of the book. This is the back cover. This is me. Let me see what I'm doing here. This is me as a punk. I was in the bathroom fight. I'm in the red. I'm the tall guy in the red.
Yep.
And there's a quote from Walter Hill in the back. The least we can do is lie for each other. And I thought that's one of the coolest things I ever heard anyone say. And Walter's that kind of guy, you know, just kind of a laconic, laid back, tough guy. And he comes out of that world, that Sam Peckinpah world. And that's the way he directed, you know, didn't give much direction. Just if he hired you, it's because he thought you could do the job, and then he let you do the job. You know, he wasn't one of these super hands-on directors. But anyway, starting last year, I started writing a couple of posts on Facebook about my experience on the Warriors, and people seemed to dig it. So I started doing some more, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to turn this into a book. And lo and behold, I put it together, got the covers done. I self-published it. I've had another book published by HarperCollins called Hollywood Jock, but you know, those big publishing companies, they didn't handle it very well, and I didn't actually I got paid pretty well, but I decided to do this myself and just market it to people like all you thousands, tens of thousands of people who are watching right now, hundreds of thousands who are watching right now. This book is for you. It's called Purple Fury, and go to purplefury.net and you can buy it directly from me. I'll sign it for you, and I'll put it in the mail to you. Thanks for putting it up. That's cool.
Totally, yeah, and that's what I noticed also is people can buy it either unsigned or signed,
Paperback or hardcover.
paperback or hardcover, and also you have some pictures that people can buy as well, signed photos.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, I started going to these fan cons. I had no idea these things even existed. And a lot of the Warriors, Michael Beck and those guys, have been going for years. And I finally started getting invited, and thousands and thousands of people show up to buy 8x10 photographs that are signed. And these things sell for like $40-50. I was shocked. You know, so for me, it's a really cool way to meet and greet, get to know some of the fans, make a few bucks. So I'm doing one in New Jersey in April called Chiller Theater, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, Chiller Theater is
right
good.
across the river from Manhattan. So anyone out there who wants to go to Chiller, it's a really happening show. It's really well run. It's a 45th Warriors anniversary. So Michael and a whole bunch of the guys are going to be there. We're trying to get Craig Baxley, the stunt coordinator, to be there. And I'll be there hawking my book, man. And I hope people show up for it.
You said it's more of a memoir. So I'm assuming that means it's about the filming and the interactions you had with the other actors and that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Just trying to get a feel for what it's all about.
Yeah. No, it's all about, you know, when I first started, it starts on when I first started, and I think my first words are, did you ever take a job and 3 days in, you're wondering what the fuck have I done?
All the time.
10 minutes was the shortest I was ever at a job.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's been there. I took this job. It was so pressurized, you know, doing locations. And then it just got harder after that. But so I start talking about what it was like working locations at first, dealing with the Teamsters. You know, the first time I got in a van with a Teamster, I stuck my hand out to shake his hand, like I said, hey, you know, my name's Rob Ryder. And he looked at me and goes, so what? You know, and that's like dealing with Teamsters, right? So I've got stories about buying stores on Coney Island on the boardwalk. You know, you buy them, you rent them for the afternoon, so the owner shuts down and lets you, you know, do your thing, shoot your stuff. Dealing with mafia types out there, dealing with real gang members, what all that stuff was like, and then what it was like the night that I became the Pruple Fury, and going into makeup and you know, just all that running. What I'm trying to do in the book is give fans of the movie the opportunity to experience what it was like to be there, because it was really wild. You know, it was New York City, 1978. The city was a real shithole back then. I mean, there was dog shit everywhere, and crime was up, and there was a lot of poverty. It was just a really hard place to live. And so I'm kind of reenacting some of that stuff. And then I get into, after, you know, being a Fury, what it was like. There are some cutaways to Hollywood for later on. Walter said, hey, I hear you're writing screenplays. And I go, yeah. So he goes, oh, you got to move to Hollywood. So right after the Warriors, I moved out to Hollywood. And so I talk about some of those experiences, what it was like living out here, trying to make it as a screenwriter, you know, what it's like dealing with the studios and other directors. You know, I worked for Billy Friedkin, the guy who did The Exorcist, and guy was a total nightmare. He's dead now, so I can talk about him. But you know, so I've got some stories about Friedkin and working for Ron Shelton on White Men Can't Jump and what that was like. And then always going back to New York and the Warriors and what happened after the Fury section wrapped. I had lost my production job. I'd gotten fired. So I was going, oh, what the fuck am I going to do now? I'm sitting around. I got a novel to finish. I'm like, I don't want to write this novel anymore. And then I got a call from Baxley saying, hey, Walter wants you in the bathroom fight. He wants you to be a punk. So next thing I know, I am in the bathroom that I'd been searching all over for as a location scout. If anyone's seen the movie, remember that iconic brawl in that subway bathroom.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, one of my jobs was to find that bathroom. And I looked all over the friggin' city for that thing. And I finally found one that was perfect. It was on the west side in some shitty old high school. It's a big ass bathroom with stalls and mirrors and all that stuff that Walter wanted. I shot the Polaroids. I brought them to location in some subway where they were shooting. I spread them out for Walter. And I said, here it is, man. I finally found it. And he looked at all these Polaroids and said, nah, fuck it. I don't like it. And I went, geez. And then the location manager pulled me inside and said, look, it's not you. It's not the bathroom. Walter's in a big fight with Paramount. He wants them to build him a bathroom. So they ended up building, as the only set on the whole movie, they built the bathroom out in Queens on the old soundstage, Astoria Studio. It's where they used to do the Marx Brothers and all. It was out in Queens. And so suddenly I find myself out on this giant soundstage in this bathroom that I had found, and yet was nixed. And so they ended up building this thing, and I ended up, getting the shit beat out of me once again in this fake bathroom in Queens. But I did get to throw vermin into the mirrors. So I was my one act of vengeance in the entire movie, and that was a key.
Now, did they actually use any real gang members from the city as consultants for the movie?
Yeah, that was a dicey situation for
I
production,
bet.
because these guys were around. For one, there was a gang out on Coney Island, and they were not happy about the Warriors being painted over that bathhouse right on the boardwalk there. They were like, who the fuck are these guys coming in from Hollywood onto our turf? So there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff to placate these guys. They either paid them off or they gave them some bit parts in the movie, but they didn't let them come as gangs themselves. That would have been too hairy, just too dangerous. So there were some gang members in the movie. And there were a lot of guys who were really disruptive, and production hired these two off-duty New York City cops. They were detectives. And these guys were right out of the French Connection. It was Popeye Doyle. They would wear these black raincoats and these fedoras, and they'd be hulking. And they were big guys, Irish, or two of these guys. And when anyone would disrupt the set and they couldn't get rid of them, we'd call over these cops and said, hey, go deal with these guys. Because what would happen is these people would come around like with big boom boxes, right? And they'd be blasting them so you couldn't record sound, and they'd want to get paid off to turn off the radio. They'd send these detectives over, and these two guys would kind of just double team them, walk up to them, hover around them, and suddenly the guy would like slump to the pavement, either slink off or he'd just be lying there. And we never quite knew exactly how these guys handled it, but they knew how to throw a gut punch. And that's the way they handle a lot of this shit. It was don't ask, don't tell. I don't think they do too much of that, these days. But back in 1978, that's how production handled troublemakers.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
So you had hired muscle on set.
It was hired muscle. And they were muscle. So there'd be real cops in uniform, the set cops, and then there'd be these two undercover guys.
Jeremy was asking, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
Well, God, there were two really. I gotta talk about both of them, because the Furies you know, it was pretty new to me. But after all that running, I was like, man, I am over this. So when the bat fight started, that was really cool, because watching Jerry Hewitt, who played the yellow-faced Fury, when he faces off against Ajax, that was some movie magic right then, that night, because James Remar made up that line. He ad-libbed that line. I'm going to take that bat, shove it up your ass, and turn you into a popsicle. But to watch them rehearse that, how the whole thing was going to go down, was really wonderful, because Jerry Hewitt, unlike the rest of us mooks, he kind of understood Walter's vision, which was more comic book style. I call it kabuki, like the old Japanese kabuki theater style. Everything really stylized, makeup and wigs. And Jerry Hewitt got that with the back flips and the bat flips, and just the way he brought that kind of stylized choreography to it. So that was favorite, watching that. And then when I finally fought Michael, that was hairy, because they were real bats, 36-inch Louisville sluggers. I think I was wearing rib pads, but they didn't help that much. That fight scene ends with him nailing me in the ribs three times in a row. And that shit hurt. But we nailed it the very first take. We choreographed the thing, we rehearsed it, we started it, and he came at me, and it was fast. It was faster than I thought it would be. I mean, you're swinging a bat, bam, and then you're swinging at his stomach, and then at his head, and then I hit the tree behind him, and the bat bounces off, and then he comes at me again. So we nail this first take. I'm on the ground. My ribs are killing me. But I look up, Michael comes over, and he's like, you know, they're yelling, cut, cut. And Michael comes over, Rob, you okay? You all right, man? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. And I said, man, that was fast. That was fucking fast. Did that seem fast to you? And Michael Beck's like, that was really fast. And we're like, we nailed it. So I get up, we look over to Walter, like, what do you think, boss? You know? And Walter looks at us like, do it again. No direction, nothing. Just do it. He shoots true to toothpick like this, arms folded. Do it again. So Michael and I looked at each other like, suddenly my ribs are killing me. Michael's exhausted. He's been running. He's had other bat fights before me. And we're like, oh man, we got to go again. And then Baxley comes over, the stunt coordinator, and he whispers in my ear. He says, you know, every time you get hit, it's a $50 stunt adjustment. Just remember that. So you add that onto your overtime and everything. I'm like, let's go again, man. 50 extra. So it's time for take two. We're like, all right, no new direction. He wants it over. So I guess we do it faster, you know, and more intense. So we start it, and 3 swings in, I'm supposed to swing at his stomach, and he jumps back. Instead, as I'm swinging at his stomach, he ducks right into my swing.
Oh.
My bat is heading right for his head, and I'm just able to check my swing enough. I missed him by about maybe a half an inch, or else we would have brought the whole movie to a standstill, because the leading man would suddenly have his brains splattered all the way up to West End Avenue. You know, it's one of those things. And Michael and I both dropped our bats like, holy shit. And Walter's like, what the fuck's going on? And we just said, we got to go again. And so we looked at each other and said, all right, we got to remember the choreography. And Michael, you know, to his credit, he looked at Walter and he said, that was my bad, man. And, you know, I ducked in when I should have jumped back. So we ran it through another 2 times or so, and we nailed it. It turned out really well. So that really was kind of the highlight of my acting career. But really quickly, throwing Vermin into the mirrors in the bathroom brawl as a punk, that was really a blast. Terry Mikos is a really cool guy. He was the guy who played Vermin, who had all those funny lines in the movie. Vermin actually was supposed to get killed off by one of the Lizzies in their clubhouse. He was supposed to get shot and killed, but Walter liked the humor he was bringing to the part. So he decided to let him live, and he ended up being in the bathroom brawl as well. And that worked out really well, except when the time it came to throw Vermin into the mirrors, I went to pick up Terry Mikos, and the guy is built just like a strong ass, like a, college linebacker, right? So I go to pick him up and I get him off the ground. I'm like, fuck, man, I can't throw this guy in the mirrors. It's like asking, someone tells you, oh yeah, pick up that couch and throw it out the window, right? It's like, and no way, it ain't happening. And then I hear Walter laughing. I see Craig Baxley laughing. I go, these guys are fucking with me. And Craig says, bring in the trampoline. So they bring in one of those little trampolines. And they're going to have Vermin bounce off the trampoline. And I'm going to grab him as he's coming off and then fling him into the mirrors. And they had a stuntman, Craig Baxley's cousin, actually, Gary Baxley, double Vermin. And we did that take. I beat up Vermin a little bit, and then we cut just before I threw him, and then Baxley got in there dressed as Vermin. He comes off the trampoline. As he's hitting the trampoline, I grab him through the crotch and across the chest, and I throw him, and he goes flying into those mirrors, hits him, shatters him, falls down onto those sinks, and they're real sinks, so that's quite the stunt. And then he hits the floor, and that was a gas too, because finally I got some knocks back instead of just one on the receiving end of all the violence.
Now, I'm assuming the mirrors were real too.
The mirrors were candy glass mirrors.
The sugar glass, yeah.
So they'll shatter without cutting anyone up.
Yeah.
But they look real. If you go back and look, they look really real. And Gary Baxter did a great job, because it ain't easy. When your body is flying through the air and you go, all right, the back of my head's going to hit the one mirror, and then my ass and my heels are going to hit the one right next to it. And they got to shatter. And then I got to fall onto these sinks, which are real, without killing myself, and then bounce onto the floor. But he pulled it off. I think we did it twice, maybe. They come in, they replace the mirrors, you do it again. But these guys are seasoned stuntmen, unlike me. I mean, I'm just a mook from New Jersey, kind of winging it, trying not to get killed. But I made it through, and everything turned out great.
Geez, if we were filming that, they would have been real mirrors.
Right?
We couldn't afford the sugar glass.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you would have just ended up with another concussion.
Yeah, and some lacerations.
Yeah, how many have you had, by the way, Jeff? Obviously more than 3.
Yeah. Well, probably 7 or 8 over the years.
But
two for film, two from the filming. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 from filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been knocked out numerous times. I'm just a little guy,
But I do want to say, if you're interested in Rob or Rob's book, make sure you check the show notes up above or down below. You can find all the information in the notes,
including the link to go buy his book.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
thank you very much.
Part of the information.
Yes,
I dig that. And for all you Warriors fans out there, there's a lot of shit in the book that no one knows yet. That's just being revealed. But most importantly, I think, is that it really gives you a feel of what it was like to shoot this stuff. How the guys interacted, how the Warriors handled themselves. Thomas Waits ended up getting fired off the film. I talk about that a little bit. How Deborah Van Valkenburg, she really handled herself well. She played Mercy, and she was just a tough broad, but she's this wonderful, really refined woman. She's an artist. She's really musical. She's living out here in LA. Just a great gal. She ended up getting beat up, getting hurt more than anyone else in the film. She ended up breaking a wrist. She got dragged down onto a subway platform by a stuntman who wasn't really a stuntman, and he tripped, didn't let go of her. They were holding hands. And he yanked her down, and she ended up breaking a wrist. So for the rest of the movie, she's covered in a windbreaker, covering up her cast. And then a few weeks later, Michael Beck accidentally hits her with a bat right in the head and opens up a nice big cut. So Deborah's one tough chick. And so I talk about that and just a lot of that really cool behind the scenes stuff, how James Remar, who played Ajax, that guy is just a gnarly motherfucker. And he is to this day. You know, he was one of those guys. He's not a bad guy. And he's a brilliant actor, but he keeps to himself. He does things the way he wants them done. He stayed in character that entire shoot. Because most of the guys, all of us, you know, when they yell cut, you go, hey, how you doing? Everyone okay? Are we cool? And you go, you get a cup of coffee as they set cameras, reset cameras. But Remar, he just stayed that gnarly motherfucker Ajax. And he never changed. He never missed a beat. So there's no small talk. There's no fooling around with him. And to this day, you know, I've seen him at a couple of these conventions, and he kind of acts the same way. Everyone's a little afraid of him. Even the stunt guys were kind of afraid of him. And I was glad I didn't have to have a bat fight with the guy because he had a loose cannon kind of feel. And then I was really glad he wasn't in the subway bathroom brawl because God knows what he would have done, you know.
Well,
I got to say, I mean, there are a lot of people complain about his demise in the movie. If you remember, he tries to pick up some chick in the park, and she's sitting on a park bench, and turns out she's an undercover cop, and she arrests him, handcuffs him, and that's how he ends up being out of the movie. And I thought it was a real kind of a cheap way of losing one of the best characters. And Walter has said afterwards, he didn't realize how much the audience would relate to Ajax and dig him, you know, the surly guy. He thought everyone would hate him. People ended up loving him because he was a tough motherfucker. And Walter says he regrets that he didn't write a better ending for James Remar and Ajax in the movie, which is pretty interesting.
Now, was there anybody on set that you had to deal with their ego?
Ego-wise, the only guy, and God bless him, you know, Thomas Waits is a wonderful actor, really good director, by the way. He's done a low-budget feature film that's really cool, and he's still at it. He teaches acting, and he, to this day, regrets some of his behavior on the film. He was just coming off a movie called On the Yard. It was a little indie prison movie, and he had the lead in that. So he brought some of that attitude, and he was insisting on things like, hey, you know, you got all these actors crammed into one trailer. You know, we deserve a little bit better than just, you know, one trailer. Just, you know, that kind of complaining. I heard he complained a bit about the violence in the movie. It was too over the top. And Walter got pissed off at him and just finally said, he called Paramount, he talked to the producers, talked to the studio guys and said, I can't have this guy in my movie anymore. I can't stand the guy. And that's why Fox, that character, got killed off out of nowhere. He got thrown under the subway train. And Thomas Waits didn't even get to do his own stunt at the end there. They hired a guy to take the fall for him. And Waits talks about it, saying, you know what? I had too much attitude. I was a young punk, too full of myself. And when he goes to the conventions now, he's got a cautionary tale for all the young actors out there. He just says it, don't piss off the director. That's one of the first rules of being an actor is don't piss off the director.
You'll end up under a bus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Wow.
because it just seemed to be that kind of a movie where maybe
Yeah.
you would get something like that from some of the people. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to be a tough guy movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting is that most of the guys who played the Warriors, they had had some acting experience, not a whole hell of a lot. And for a lot of them, this is their first studio movie. So it was a big deal.
Mm.
And they handled themselves really professionally. They always showed up on time. They did what was asked. They didn't whine and complain. And there's a lot of reason to be pissing and moaning through that shoot, man. It was grueling. And the way Walter ran those guys and had them do fight after fight, it was exhausting. But they handled themselves really nicely. And it worked out well. And it made the production a lot smoother because, it was hard enough getting that thing done on time and on budget. And if people had started turning into, milquetoasts about stuff, it never would have gotten finished.
So, how long did it actually
Wow.
take to do the filming?
Oh, God. Man, I don't know, 11 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that. It wasn't a super fast shoot, but
So
for everything
two
that
to
got
3
done,
months. It was 2 to 3 months then.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It had to be over 3 months because we're going through the summer into the fall. I remember towards the end there, people were cold. I mean, these guys running around in vests with no shirts underneath, and it'd be cold out at night. So yeah, we ran into the fall, and got it done. Finally got it finished.
Wow. I just real quick, I want to take us all the way back to the beginning of this where you had mentioned that you played basketball.
Yeah.
You actually were a consultant for other movies because of that. Am I correct?
Yeah. I got out to Hollywood, and Walter, when he found out I was a writer, said, "Hey, if you're serious, you got to move to Hollywood." So as soon as I wrapped Warriors, I left my shitty Second Avenue apartment and moved to the land of milk and honey, right? And was out there. Walter helped me find an agent, and I ended up optioning a script, but I was still a hard scrabble life. I didn't quite get rich. But I was playing a lot of basketball up at the Hollywood Y, and I met a guy named Ron Shelton who was writing White Men Can't Jump at the moment. And he had just directed Bull Durham, which is one of my favorite sports movies to this day. It was a brilliant movie. So he showed me an early draft of White Men, and I said, "Wow, man, this is fucking hot." And he goes, "I want you to be my basketball guy," because he knew I was a player, and he knew I had a bunch of production experience. I knew my way around the set, knew how to talk to a director or camera. So yeah, I ended up on White Men Can't Jump and saw that movie all the way through, which is a blast. That was just one of those movies that's exhilarating. We knew from day one with Woody and Wesley that they had some magic going there. It was just a vibration. And all the way through, man, that was just so much fun shooting that thing. And the basketball turned out, and it turned into kind of a second career for me where I started getting invited onto other basketball movies to do it. Some better than others. I worked for Friedkin on Blue Chips.
Yep.
I worked on a dog named Eddie with Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know if anyone knows. Whoopi Goldberg coaches the New York Knicks. And we shot that thing down in North Carolina. It's just a total fucking disaster. And so I did that. I did a bunch of sports stuff for TV, episodic, and for commercials. And to this day, I'm doing a bunch of video game stuff now for EA Sports. I just did Madden 25. That'll be out next year.
Wow.
They hired me to do voiceover directing and sound directing. So this last one, I hired maybe 10 real deal football players, put them in pads and helmets, put them out on a football field, and had them beat the shit out of each other as these sound guys from Warner Sound record the whole thing. So then the sound engineers and editors will take those hits and grunts and screams and all and layer it into the video game. So yeah, I'm still doing that, and I'm still looking to get a couple of my screenplays made. I got a couple of cool ones in the works. So if anyone out there with a couple
Nice.
of $10, you know where to find me.
So that's awesome. That's
Wow.
awesome. You said, you have a couple of screenplays and screen things. I was reading somewhere something about something called Zulu Wave.
Yeah, that's a heartbreak, man. This friend of mine is a travel writer, and he came back from South Africa saying that he heard about and saw these young black kids surfing, learning to surf in Durban, South Africa. So we wrote a screenplay about these black kids from one of those really poor townships who became hooked on surfing, but they weren't allowed onto the white beaches because everything was segregated back in the 70s. We said it back then in time of apartheid. And so we wrote this really cool screenplay. National Geographic Films wanted to shoot it. They were starting to cast it. They were doing locations for the thing. And it's about this black kid who fights for the right to enter surfing competitions, which are held on white-only beaches. And all the white surfers come together, and the town people come together and say, hey, let this kid have a shot at surfing with us. And it's a real feel-good, politically cool movie. And it still has a shot at getting made, but the shot it had fell through, and it's one of those, it's sitting on a shelf right now.
Right,
so it's a misser, but that's, and I talk about this in my book. If you want to be a screenwriter in Hollywood, you better have tough skin, because you can get so close so many times. And I made a good living at it. It wasn't like I was just striking out. I mean, I was selling shit to studios, to indies. I had directors like John Hughes. Even Walter Hill hired me to write a screenplay for him. Nothing got made after 30 years of doing this, 30 plus years. Nothing has gotten made that I've written, which drives me crazy, because out of a lot of screenplays, there are 4 or 5 that are really good, really deserve to get made. So, game's not over yet. There's still some time on the clock.
Game's
Have you
never
considered
over.
just doing that as an independent?
Yeah, you can do stuff pretty cheaply now, the way they shoot video instead of film. In fact, I just, right in the middle of writing this book, Pruple Fury, I got the coolest idea for a little indie movie. What about at one of these fan cons, all these warriors are in a room signing autographs, and this whole big thriller-like convention or chiller convention where there are fans in cosplay and different costumes running around, and there's money flying everywhere. What if some real-life gangsters in costume try to rip off the convention and steal all the cash? So I wrote this screenplay where this actually happens. They have some weapons that they've hidden, and they pull them out. They start robbing everyone, taking all the cash. So all these old warriors, guys like Michael Beck and James Remar and all these guys are in there, it's like late 60s and 70s now. They spring into action to save the day and each other. And I got a part for Deborah Van Valkenburg in there. And I'm hoping to get it made. You could probably make it for $2-3 million. Try to get the old gang together again. It's sort of like, I don't know, grumpy old men.
Right.
These cowboys. Those movies where like all the old guys come together for one last fight.
Yep.
Like the Magnificent Seven. That's where I got the idea. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's a brilliant freaking movie.
Yeah.
That could actually be a comedy.
It's like, but it's got to be, it's action comedy. And
It'd have to be action comedy, because if you do it at the wrong con, you're going to have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out kicking your ass, too.
You're right. No, I play up the laughs in it. And it's sort of like, how 48 Hours was one of those action comedies that kind of blew everyone's mind. Like, holy shit. What a cool idea. Have Eddie Murphy in this thing, play him for laughs, but there's a lot of really good action in there. So yeah, I play it like that. And the action sequences, are kind of like they were in the Warriors itself. You know, I get guys getting thrown into mirrors, getting beat up with light stands and all sorts of shit. Just a couple of gunshots, but not too much gunplay. It's more like the old-fashioned brawling kind of action, which is a lot of fun because you got these old guys who are like, oh, my back, and, you know, talking about their hip replacements and all this shit. And yet, you know, they pull it together. And people don't know this unless you meet these guys. The Warriors are taking good care of themselves physically, you know, as they age. They're staying lean and mean, watching their diets. I mean, it's really good. It's, you know, it's one of the things I talk about because as you get older, man, it sucks. You can do it the easy way or the hard way. And the easy way is to say, fuck it. And you drink and smoke yourself to death and you eat shit you don't want to eat. But then you got to suffer with diabetes and blood pressure problems and all that shit.
It's like, I got to go up the stairs. Shit, I got to lead with my left leg, not my right. Lead with the left.
Yeah, you know, everyone wants to go out like that, right?
Right.
Fucking kill me with a heart attack or a stroke and I'm done. But usually it happens over weeks and months, if not years.
Right.
And you live a miserable existence. So I'm telling people to start taking care of yourself. It's not too late. And you'll ease into old age. Won't be a burden on your kids. And you won't wake up groaning every morning, you know? So anyway, the Warriors themselves are living examples of that. The guys are doing a really nice job of staying healthy.
Yeah, we ran into them, 2 years ago, Ben? Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, we've ran into them a few times. They do a lot of the New England.
Times.
Yeah, they do a lot of upper New England shows. I actually ran into quite a few of them last summer when I went up to New Hampshire to have the novel signed by Steve Levine at Dominic's show. I think he had 3 or 4 of the gentlemen there. So, but we have about 4 minutes left with this amazing guest tonight, folks. So, I mean, I see a lot of people watching. I see a lot of comments in the chat. Not too many questions, more so comments, which is great because we just let him roll, man. He just rolled right through tonight.
Sure.
So with that being said, I'm gonna say to my counterparts here, any last questions for our amazing guest?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah. Of course you do.
Do you still like the color purple?
I love the color purple, but I haven't seen the latest movie. I don't think it's going to be quite my cup of tea. You know what I like about what I like about the color purple is we're living in a really divided nation right now. And I stay out of politics. I stay out of it in my book. I stay out of it in shows like this. But purple is a combination of red and blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Left and right, Democrat, Republican, whatever, we are all in this together. And the color purple to me signifies that. It's like we're all one family here in the United States of America, and we've got to pull together and make sure we got to be kind to each other, treat each other with respect, and get through this year. It's going to be a really hairy year. And everyone's got to be cool with each other to get through the election and respect and honor the process and know that what we have going here in America is a near and dear thing. Keep it close to your heart. It's fragile. Democracy, as I tell my sons, democracy is not pretty, man. It's ugly. It's messy. But look at the alternatives. They really suck. So we got to all hang together, protect this beautiful country.
Well, maybe what we need is a real life purple people leader to take care of shit.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. I nominate you, Jeff. How about it?
Right?
Oh, I like purple. You know,
there
purple,
you go.
pink. I'm not shy. Am I wearing? You're pink.
Next time we see you, we want to see the purple hair. You got to do it.
I can do it. You know, actually, white hair dyes purple really cool.
You know, I've noticed that. I noticed. I've been tempted, but my girlfriend's like, no fucking way. So,
so Jeff, you do the purple mohawk, and I'll dye the goatee purple.
Well, I've got to test it out in other places to see if it works all right.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's not too much information. Right.
Leo, I know you have a question for our guest.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, with the Warriors being so embedded in our pop culture history, it's referenced constantly, even nowadays with like John Wick 4 was like a tribute to the Warriors. And you have from Simpsons to even DuckTales. Have you ever been sitting down watching a TV show that strikes you like, oh crap, they're referencing the Warriors, or like had that like, oh, like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it pops up, and now I got people sending me stuff like someone just sent me a picture. They went into a sushi restaurant down here in Studio City, and he takes a picture. There's a Warriors poster, on the wall in some obscure sushi restaurant. This thing won't die. It just stays alive. Fathers pass it on to their sons. Sons pass it on to the guy's grandkids now. So we're talking 3-4 generations. Women, aunts, and uncles. There are people coming to these conventions saying, yeah, this is my dad's favorite movie. So yeah, I want to buy him buy him your picture. Would you sign it for me? Shit like that. It became incredibly meaningful to people. I'm not sure exactly why, but I think it's a whole simple concept of a group, a band of brothers trying to take care of each other and just trying to get home,
Right.
And people logged onto that and they just grabbed it and they said, yeah, we're with the Warriors. And people put their own meaning onto the movie. And it's beautiful. When I talk to Walter's like, I can't believe it's as strong as it still is, but it's still going strong.
It's funny because, my wife asks me every week who we have on as a guest. And I said, Rob Ryder from the Warriors. And she's like, the Warriors. And she goes, oh yeah, the bottles.
Yeah.
Warriors. That's all she remembers of the movie.
Yeah. That's another moment that was ad-libbed by David Patrick Kelly. Walter was telling him, said, we want to do something special, some way to identify you. And so the actor went wandering around under the boardwalk and found those bottles. And there was a guy, this creepy guy in his real life, in his building in New York, who used to do that and taunt him with that. Oh. So he picked up that thing and said, oh, this is perfect. And Walter loved it. Everyone remembers that.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Like clicking of the bottles.
Yep.
So with that being said, go ahead, Leo.
Yeah, no. I just thought of it. Since you do video game work, did they ask you to work on the Warriors video game?
No, I never got invited. Some of the guys did, and they got paid pretty handsomely, I guess. I guess some of them had to sue for their money, but to use their voices and images and like that. But no, my kids used to play the video game. And I'd walk by their room and I'd hear them yelling, let's kill Dad next. Oh my God, jeez.
Yeah. Right to you out of the will.
That's awesome.
Sorry, royalty checks now go to the cat. But we did tell you we'd only keep you about an hour, a little bit over that. So Leo,
we'll wrap it up.
I do want to let this amazing gentleman get back to his real life.
Totally. We'll wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. You know how to find me. Just head on over to thedorkening.com. You can learn more. And I do a bunch of other shows. Check out Splash Pages. We've been doing a lot of awesome stuff over on the YouTubes. And also, more importantly, for our awesome guests here, go to purplefury.net if you want to buy his book, get it autographed. And if you can't make it to Chiller Theater, you can buy his autograph right on the website. So, Rob, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I am mostly on Facebook. There are a bunch of groups, Warriors groups on Facebook. You can find me there. I'm on Twitter X a little bit, but that's just a nightmare these days. And I toy around with Instagram a little bit, but mostly on Facebook. You can find me there or on my website. I'll chat with you there as well.
Very cool. You got to hop on over to Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's open to the public now.
Yeah.
There we go.
We'll do.
Jeffrey. Oh, sorry. What was that, Rob?
I said will do.
Cool. Jeffrey.
The fuck is Blue Sky?
It's a new social network. It's very similar to Twitter, but without all the negativity.
For now.
Yeah, I've heard about it. And there's also Threads, which I think might be I don't know, is that another Zuckerberg thing? So I'm not sure I want to be there again.
Yeah, Threads is the Facebook version of Twitter. Blue Sky, there's a lot of like comic book people on there. Well, there's everybody on there, but it's it's pretty good so far.
Very cool.
I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, they just opened it up to the public.
I mean, I don't even do Instagram. I think I started a page a long time ago, but I don't do anything with it. I know Talking with the Dead is on Instagram, but Ben runs that shit, But we're also on TikTok now. I kind of like TikTok, even though
I haven't been. I got to check that out.
I'm one of those that I just watch the videos. I don't put any of my own shit up really. I just look at all the cool videos, because there's a lot of cool shit. Look up, I'm making pork chops tonight. And there's a bunch of videos on different recipes. I just love it. You know what I mean? And I like cats. You know what I mean? I like dogs and I like fish and I like pussy. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
You did.
Cats.
Yeah.
So anyway, as far as us, stilltoken.com or Toking with the Dead on Facebook, and obviously, Still Token. Go to the website. Everything is there. We have our 4 years archived. You can go watch every show we've ever done. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that. Well, we're in our 5th year, so we just started it. So it's only 4 full years. Do the math. And by the way, purple is spelled P-U-R, not P-R-U. That would be Pruple. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there you go.
Benjamin.
You're still number one in my book.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to thank. Actually, Rob was holding up his book.
Yeah, just one last shot. Here it is.
There you go.
Pruple Fury, Rumbling with the Warriors.
I actually put that on the image that I made for the show. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah. Which you can find in the archives, and you can find all of that in the show notes, depending on where you're watching or listening to us, because this is recorded. It will be archived. It will also be out on podcast platforms this Saturday. So I want to thank Rob for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We had a blast. I want to send a huge thank you to Amy Makepeace for setting this up for us.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Amy's great.
She's amazing. She's amazing. Check out 70s and 80s Memory Lane and watch for Mr. Cat Promotions, which is her new promotions department that's coming out, or her company, I should say.
Yeah, Amy, when am I going to get a chance to even speak with you?
Right. I'll set up the conference call now that she's now that she likes us.
Yeah, for people who like me, I got to work at it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So, but no, in all seriousness, check out Rob at Chiller Theater. Follow him on his pages. You'll know where he is. Get a copy of the book. I'm going to order a copy of the book because he already said he'd sign it and send it to us. So shit, I'm going to order that. It's got to go in my collection.
Yeah, there you go.
To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Peace.
So come on.